but it might have started way later than I think without my noticing anything at all. You see someone, but you don't really see him. He's in the wings. Or you notice him, but nothing clicks. Nothing catches, and before you're even aware of a presence or of something troubling you, the 6 weeks that were offered you have almost passed, and he's either already gone or just about to leave, and you're basically scrambling to come to terms with something which, unbeknownst to you, has been brewing for weeks under your very nose, and bears all the symptoms of what you've forced to call I want. How couldn't I have known, you ask? I know desire when I see it, and yet this time it slipped by completely. I was going for the devious smile that would suddenly light up his face each time he'd read my mind, when all I really wanted was skin, just skin. At dinner on his third evening, I sensed that he was staring at me as I was explaining Haydn's 7 last words of Christ, which I'd been transcribing. I was 17 that year, and being the youngest at the table and the least likely to be listened to, I had developed the habit of smuggling as much information into the fewest possible words. I spoke fast, which gave people the impression that I was always flustered and muffling my words. After I had finished explaining my transcription, I became aware of the keenest glance coming from my left. It thrilled and flattered me. He was obviously interested. He liked me. It hadn't been as turned to face him. It hadn't been as difficult as all that then. But when, after taking my time, I finally turned to face him and take in his glance, I met a cold and icy glare, something at once hostile and vitrified, that bordered on cruelty. It undid me completely. What had I done to deserve this? I wanted him to be kind to me again, to laugh at me as he had done just a few days earlier on the abandoned train tracks, or when I'd explained to him that same afternoon that B was the only town in Italy where the Corriera, the regional bus line, crying Christ whizzed by without ever stopping. He had immediately laughed and recognized the veiled allusion to Cargolevi's book. I liked how our minds seemed to travel in parallel, how we instantly inferred what words the other was toying with, but at the last moment held back. He was going to be a difficult neighbor. Better stay away from him, I thought. To think that I had almost fallen for the skin of his hands, his chest, his feet, that had never touched the rough surface in his existence, and his eyes, which, when their other, kinder gaze fell on you, came like the miracle of resurrection. You could never stare long enough, but needed to keep staring to find out why you wouldn't. Why you couldn't. I must have shot him a similarly wicked glance. For 2 days our conversations came to a sudden halt on the long balcony that both our bedrooms shared. Total avoidance, just a makeshift hello, good morning, nice weather, shallow chit-chat. Then, without explanation, things resumed. Did I want to go jogging this morning? No, not really. Well, let's swim then. Today the pain, the stoking, the thrill of someone new, the promise of so much bliss hovering a fingertip away, the fumbling around people I might misread and don't want to lose and must second guess at every turn, the desperate cunning I bring to everyone I want and crave to be wanted by, The screens I put up as though between me and the world there were not just one but layers of rice paper, sliding doors. The urge to scramble and unscramble what was never really coated in the first place. All this started the summer Oliver came into our house. They are embossed on every song that was a hit that summer, in every novel I read during and after his stay, on anything from the smell of rosemary on hot days to frantic rattle of the cicadas in the afternoon. Smells and sounds I'd grown up with and known every year of my life until then, but that had suddenly turned on me and acquired an inflection forever colored by the events of the summer. Or perhaps it started after his first week, when I was thrilled to see he still remembered who I was, that he didn't ignore me, and that therefore I could allow myself the luxury of passing him on my way to the garden and not having to pretend I was unaware of him. We jogged early in the first morning, all the way up to B and back. Early the next morning we swam. Then the day after we jogged again. I liked racing by the milk delivery van when it was far from done with its rounds, and by the grocer and the baker as they were just getting ready for business. Liked to run along the shore and the promenade when there wasn't a soul about yet, and our house seemed a distant mirage. I like it when our feet was aligned, left with left, and struck the ground at the same time, leaving footprints on the shore that I wished to return to, and in secret place my foot where his had left its mark.